The book that I have written is a love story about the Folgers that loved each other, and they both loved Shakespeare. So maybe you could call this a ménage à trois. After my last diplomatic assignment, and I returned to Washington, I decided that I wanted to join cultural institutions, and I joined the Folger Shakespeare Library. It was offered to us new members to have a curator's tour, and the curator talked a lot about Mr. Folger and Mrs. Folger. We saw their portraits. We saw some of the paintings they had collected, a lot of the books they had collected. And at the end of the visit, I said, "Do you have a biography of the Folgers?" And the curator looked down at the floor. I said, "Well, that's a curious reaction." And then she said, "No one has written one yet." Henry and Emily got married in 1885. They had no children. They both went on to obtain master's degrees, and they both received honorary doctorates. Neither of their parents had been to college. This is not only a love story, it's an American story. It's an American story of the first generation of college graduates who were fortunate enough to earn a fortune, not to have inherited a fortune. Henry Folger worked for Standard Oil Company on Manhattan for 49 years. Henry and Emily Folger put all of their money into buying Shakespeare. They were devoted to the bard. They purchased 92,000 books over a 40-year period, which comes down to 6 books a day. Henry corresponded with 600 book dealers, 150 of them in London alone. Henry Folger got the reputation of not only being a hoarder, of keeping everything, but not allowing anyone to look at it. He always intended that the users of his collection should be researchers and scholars. This was not going to be an open-door public library. It was to be for people who have a serious purpose in using the literature of the 17th century. He is a man who, over a 40-year period, did something very few people do, and that is they went to the top of their area of interest and expertise, one being the petroleum industry, and accumulating and appreciating and being willing to share the largest Shakespeare collection in the world. If he had done either one of these, it would have been an amazing feat, but he did them both. We have a complete accounting of the plays that the Folgers saw through Emily's play diary. I counted up the number of plays of Shakespeare she had seen, and it was 100. She would go back to see the same play again and ascertain whether the actors had paid attention to the critics in the press. Henry Folger never saw one stone of the library that he had helped to build and to endow. He died 2 weeks after the cornerstone was laid.